Ever wish you could walk around inside of your favorite TV and movie homes? Well, on this channel, you can. Today, we'll be exploring every inch of the Milwaukee apartment from Laverne and Shirley. Hi, I'm Marina Coates. I have a degree in architecture and an obsession with set design. Welcome to Behind the Scenes, where we get up close and personal with all your favorite TV and movie homes. Today, we're touring Laverne and Shirley's apartment from the popular 70s sitcom. You'll get to see the entire living room, kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom. We'll even get to enter their apartment from the street by way of the stairs. Let's get started. We'll begin with an overhead view to help us get our bearings. These are the stairs that lead down to their apartment. This is the entrance, the living room, and the kitchen. On this side is their bedroom and the bathroom. And this is the fourth wall. The fourth wall is a term that refers to the walls of a TV or movie home that we never get to see because that's where the audience and/or the cameras were situated. But you'll get to see it today as we tour the home. The entry. Right next to the front door was a pony wall with a built-in bookcase, and on top of it, a black telephone from that period. Above the bookcase was a bulletin board divided in half with Laverne's name on one side and Shirley's on the other, and we can assume some of their favorite things displayed there. Many gags played out at this front door. The most classic, of course, involved the frequent comical entrances of Lenny and Squiggy. The audience learned to anticipate those entrances, tipped off by the setup lines from the girls, such as, "Anything could crawl in from right off the street," or, "If you marry a man with a square head, big neck, and hair on his thumbs, do you know what your kids will turn out to look like?" And, "It looks like a strange creature from another world," which was always followed by their entrance and Squiggy's loud, nasally, "Hello." It became a game for viewers to predict when it would happen. Fun fact, while I was researching, I discovered that this whole portion of the set, the entrance and the area surrounding it, were reused from The Odd Couple, which had just ended a year before. The living room. Somehow, in my mind, I always pictured the sofa as sitting parallel to the back wall, like this. I was surprised when I realized just how much it angled out. The sofa itself went through some changes. In the beginning, it was white with a large yellow floral pattern. Later, it was brown with small cream and rose flowers, which is how you'll see it today on the tour. The sofa also moved around quite a bit throughout the series, depending on what they needed for a particular scene. But we saw it mostly like this, and it was always the center of the activity. This corner had their bookshelves, TV, radio, records, and record player, with different versions showing up throughout the series, which is really what happens in anyone's home. This window above the cabinet had little doors that swung out, and it looked out onto the sidewalk, meaning it was at street level. One fun thing I discovered is that the Laverne and Shirley set borrowed props from the Brady Bunch show, which had ended 2 years prior. These chairs from the Brady's den showed up in their living room, as did this clown print from the Brady girls' room. Scenes that took place in the living room, celebrating every holiday in their apartment, always finding reasons to dress up in outrageous costumes. And one of my all-time favorites, Laverne accuses Shirley of being someone who vote-o-do-does on dates, to which Shirley replies, "I do not vote-o-do." Laverne fires back, "You vote-o." Shirley's indignant response, "Once." We'll tour just the living room now. Later on, we'll tour the entire apartment. Later, when we take a full tour of the apartment, you'll get to see this fourth wall in the living room, the one we never got to see on the show. So how did I decide what to put on a wall that was never actually seen? Well, there were a few clues. First of all, there was a piano that would sometimes be in this area and sometimes not, just like on the Dick Van Dyke Show. So I concluded that they must have kept it on the fourth wall, wheeling it out when needed like the Petrys did. It also seemed like they could use a storage closet. We know that they decorated the whole apartment for every holiday. We also know that they had an endless supply of amazing costumes. So I figured they needed the storage space. So that's what you'll see on the fourth wall today when we tour the entire apartment. The kitchen. One of my favorite things about the kitchen is the entrance into it with these cabinets on each side. It divides the rooms and yet keeps it open. One thing I noticed when I was researching this set was that sometimes we would be shown this side as ending here. But when they needed more room for a scene, they would add this extension. So my reasoning was that this side on the left was meant to match the other side, and a big clue for that is that we see this header on its way over to the other side. So that's how you'll see it today. Here's the kitchen layout. The sink was here and the fridge here. Their kitchen table was in the center. And their stove with a dumbwaiter on each side of it was here. We were shown the kitchen to this point, with this portion of it being unseen. But of course, you'll see the complete kitchen today, including this wall. Scenes that took place in the kitchen. Laverne making her favorite drink, Pepsi and milk. Cooking in the kitchen with Edna when the oven explodes, scaring both of the girls. Lots of rushed breakfasts because they were always late for work. Pretending to yell upstairs to Lenny through the dumbwaiter to distract Laverne from the fact that there was a horse in the house. And lots of girl chats. We'll tour just the kitchen now before heading on to the girls' room. Many of you may remember that the characters of Laverne and Shirley first appeared on Happy Days, and in return, sometimes the Happy Days characters would make guest appearances on Laverne and Shirley. I have also made Happy Days tours of both the Cunningham's home and Arnold's restaurant. You can find them on this channel along with many other TV and movie home tours. The bedroom. Here's the layout. Their beds were here. They had a makeup vanity here on the fourth wall. A closet here, and a door to their bathroom was here. I loved what they had hanging on their walls, a mixture of teen idols and kid-like artwork, which defined both their personalities and the stage of life they were in. We'll tour just their bedroom now, catching a glimpse of their bathroom as we do. But you'll get to see all of the apartment, including their bathroom and the fourth walls that we never got to see on the show when we take the full tour. Before we do that, I need to point out a few inconsistencies with the bathroom. Impossible layouts are extremely common with TV homes. And in this case, their shower is shown here, and yet that would butt out into the space for the apartment across from them, here. It ends up right behind that apartment's front door. And there is also simply no place for the toilet to go. This is not only not the exception with TV homes, but rather the rule. Of the many TV home tours I've created, toilets were missing in most of the homes from this time period. You could argue that one would fit on this wall, even though it wouldn't match up with the plumbing. But if there was one there, then we would have seen it from the views we were given of the bathroom on the show, but there just simply wasn't one there. When I make these tours, I create them exactly as they were, so when we walk through them, they're just as we remember them. So, if there was no toilet, I don't add one. Now that we have that out of the way, let's tour Laverne and Shirley's bedroom. Having the girls share a room, of course, allowed for a lot of scenes together, but also helped emphasize the theme of two young women just starting out on their own, a theme that seemed to resonate with the TV audience. In real life, however, Penny Marshall was 32 when the show first aired, and Cindy Williams was 28. But I think their characters read much younger, both in personalities and shenanigans. They were always horsing around. That's partly what made it so funny. They would revert back to adolescent behaviors almost at the drop of a hat. Remember how they would face off in an argument, staring each other down, mumbling unintelligibly, until it finally ended by them giving each other a low growl like two alley cats in a fight. And the physical comedy. Holy cow. They were masters at it. I'm not sure they get enough credit for just how good they were. In my mind, rivaling the best female at physical comedy of all time, Lucy. I lived for those moments. In interviews, they both said that it was as though they shared the same mind, being perfectly in sync. Part of that was simply because they'd known each other for years before Laverne and Shirley ever aired. There was definitely a familiarity there. But there was another component that was much more important, that the writers themselves only discovered over time. Those girls were willing to do literally anything, no matter how physically demanding, no matter how preposterous the situation, and they were almost completely uninhibited as they did it, which in my mind is the real key to physical comedy. They didn't worry about how ridiculous they looked or how unappealing. The only thing that seemed to matter, was it funny? In an interview, Cindy Williams said that they did all of their own stunts. And in fact, the Stuntmen's Association made Penny and Cindy honorary stuntmen, giving them buckles. Some of my favorites. Trying to put a skeleton back together that they accidentally broke at their night school course before the teacher notices. Struggling to get as much food as they could across the finish line after winning a grocery store shopping spree. Trying to run away from danger while hung up on some coat hooks. And trying to get to food at a diet camp while wrapped up like mummies. There's a fun channel on YouTube called the Ultimate Laverne and Shirley Fan Club that has montages of their physical comedy from each season. That's where I got a lot of these images. I'll put the link below. We're about to take the full tour. Be looking for Easter eggs. Those are hidden references or jokes that fans of the show will recognize. At the end, I'll give you an Easter egg reveal so you can see if you found all of them. For the full tour, we are going to enter the apartment just like their friends would have by coming down the stairs. What made this show so wildly popular? Well, quite a few things. First of all, there was the perfect combination of Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams, and the way they played off of each other. The madcap situations they would get themselves into, the hilarious physical comedy involving the two that we discussed earlier, and of course the rest of the ensemble cast, each making their own personal mark just where it was needed. But I wonder if part of the appeal was that it brought its viewers back to that fun, carefree time in their own lives. Yes, a time full of bad dates, first jobs, and pinching pennies, but also a time of fewer responsibilities, spending more time hanging out with friends, a time when you didn't know what the future held, but you were sure it was going to be full of amazing possibilities. You didn't give yourself any restrictions. Anything could happen. And with Laverne and Shirley, it often did, and with hilarious consequences. One of my favorite situations that would appear on the show frequently was when the girls would end up in a place where they didn't feel like they fit in. We were always rooting for them because we knew what that felt like, and we wanted to see them tell off the people who thought they were better than them. We saw two girls being the very best of friends, getting in fights, throwing fits, and then back to best buddies again by the end of the episode. And no matter what, they always had each other's backs. They looked out for each other. They cared what happened to each other. Shirley would try to talk sense into Laverne, and Laverne would often try to get Shirley outside of her safe little box. And they had fun. Boy, did they have fun. They got in a lot of trouble, sometimes even in a bit of danger, but their lives looked fun. They were certainly having more fun than I was as a young girl watching the show. I could slip into their lives for an episode and come out at the other end feeling almost like I had experienced it, but without all the problems that inevitably arose. We saw them have good friends and crazy friends, and even some enemies, just like their audience had in their lives, just maybe with funnier lines and better lighting. But we knew those people. We dealt with those same kinds of personalities. But these girls made it look fun. In fact, if I was going to sum up the show, that's what it would be. It was fun. And we could all use a little of that, couldn't we? And now for the Easter egg reveal. Let's see if you found everything. There was Boo Boo Kitty on Shirley's bed. And then I found a picture of Penny Marshall as a little girl, so I put it on the wall. Pepsi and milk on the kitchen counter, one of Laverne's frequent concoctions. And a box of Scooter pies. The very next tour I'm doing is Golden Girls. It should be out soon. Let me know in the comments what TV or movie home you would like to see in the future. But as for today, that's a wrap. See you next time on Behind the Scenes.